Olive Rudy was brutally murdered on St. Valentine's Day in the year of our Lord, 1956, outside her cottage near the ancient village of Long Griffin. Her body was discovered some 36 hours later under a willow tree. She was pinned to the ground with a hay fork through her throat, and the sign of the cross had been hacked across her stomach. In the following year, 1957, Betty Tring, who lived on Apple Farm, barely half a mile from where the body was discovered, was tried at Fulchester Assizes for the murder of Olive Rudy. She was found not guilty. Now, in the year of our Lord, 1974, Tom Strafford, who was known to have been friendly with both women, finds himself on trial for the same murder in the Fulchester Crown Court. The prosecuting counsel is examining his first witness, Mr. Billy Robson, who's the proprietor of Long Griffin's only pub, the Green Man.
Not the sort of thing you ever forget.
And you say the accused, Tom Strafford, and the deceased, Olive Rudy, were drinking together in the snug bar at lunchtime of the Green Man on February the 14th, St. Valentine's Day, 1956?
Yeah, it must have been about 3 hours before she met her end. What a way to go on St. Valentine's Day.
Indeed. Was there anyone else in the snug bar?
Betty Tring, one who we tried last time.
Did she arrive with Olive Rudy and the accused, or did she join them later?
She joined them later. That's when the row started.
Yes, what did all three of them row about?
Well, I prefer not to say.
Your preference doesn't come into it, Mr. Robson. You are on oath. You are bound in law to answer these questions.
Well, I don't like to talk about it. It's not right.
As far as I can see, you had no qualms about giving evidence at the previous trial in 1957, so would you kindly cease being bashful now and tell the court the gist of what you overheard in your public house on that afternoon?
Well, the girls had a row over the accused. Yeah. Having an affair with them both, wouldn't he? Well, he had it made, didn't
yes,
he?
Yes.
And this was the reason for the row,
You see, Betty only found out that morning that Tom was two-timing her. That's why she barged into the snug, knocked the glass out of Ollie's hand, then shouting at the top of her voice, accused her of being a filthy, stinking witch.
Are you sure that Miss Betty Tring used the word witch?
Oh, aye.
It wasn't perhaps filthy, stinking bitch?
No, you have a look at the transcript you got there. You'll see that in 1957, I said filthy, stinking witch. And I'm still saying filthy, stinking witch in 1974.
Yes, Mr. Logan, does it really matter whether the word was witch or bitch?
Well, it might, my lord. I was trying to ascertain whether Betty Tring accused the deceased of being a fully fledged witch, or whether she was simply making an insulting remark about her pedigree.
Yes, well, the witness says the word was witch. Which might have been meant literally or as an insult.
Yes, my lord. Now, Mr. Robson, how did the deceased respond to Betty Tring's accusation?
She just smiled and wiped the beer off her dress. And she turned to Tom, and in a very clear voice, she said, "I'm pregnant, Tommy, and you know who's responsible, don't you, lover boy?"
And those were her exact words, as far as you can remember?
Oh, aye. When you hear a witch, it's best to remember everything she says.
And how did the accused react when Olive Rudy told him she was pregnant?
And like any man caught with his trousers down, he swore something horrible.
And what happened next?
Well, Olive said Tom would have to give up his studying and marry her. And if he didn't, she'd write to his parents, tell them what a rotten son they had. And that's when Betty went berserk.
Berserk?
I started shouting and screaming. And then she made a dive for Olive's throat. And before I could get round the counter, she'd picked her up, hurled her right across the bar.
Was Miss Rudy hurt?
No. No, she just sat there on the floor, staring up at Betty with a look of such hatred, made me feel quite queasy. Then suddenly she jumped to her feet and she put the sign of the devil on Betty.
The sign of the devil?
Aye. Like this.
Yes. Mr. Logan, are we to take this seriously?
I'm afraid we must, my lord. The pursuit of the occult is unavoidably part of these proceedings.
Yes, well, if you could endeavour to keep it within the bounds of reality.
Well, as we're dealing with witchcraft, my lord, and its attendant superstitions, your lordship's request is difficult to fulfil. However, I will do my best. Now, Mr. Robson, what occurred after Olive had made this so-called sign of the devil?
Well, as she made this sign, she said she was putting a curse on Farmer Tring's crops.
Farmer Tring being Betty's father?
That's right.
And what did you do?
Well, I told them to behave themselves, or I'd call the police. But Betty just ignored me, and she made another dive for Olive's throat, as though she were possessed by a demon. Well, I tried to pull her off, but she was too strong for me. So I ordered Tom to get them both out of the bar before somebody got really hurt. Well, he managed to pull Betty off Olive, and as soon as he'd done that, Olive rushed out of the bar.
Did he say anything pertinent after the deceased had left?
Only what any other man would have said in his position.
Which was?
Well, he wished them both dead and off his hands.
Both, you say?
Oh, aye. He weren't feeling too choosy at the time.
Quite so. Then what happened?
Well, things quietened down, so I let them stay. And then it were amazing.
What was amazing?
Why, Betty proposed to the accused.
Well, how did the accused reply to this proposal?
He didn't. He just slammed his drink down and he stormed out of the bar.
What did Betty do?
Well, she stormed out after him. When she caught him up outside, she asked him where the hell he was going. He said he were off to Lower Kirtle. That's the next village from us. To get some pig food for her father.
How were you able to overhear all this?
Well, you see, they were shouting just outside the snug bar window, which happened to be open.
And did Betty go with him to Lower Kirtle?
No. She put her arms round his neck and she kissed him full on the mouth. Threw herself at him, she did.
Well, did he respond?
Can't remember.
Now, Mr. Robson.
No, well...
Mr. Robson.
Well, he just said, what's the best way to deal with a witch, darling?
Yes, would you mind repeating that, please?
What is the best way to deal with a witch, darling?
And from where you were listening, could you tell by the tone of the accused's voice whether he was being serious or frivolous?
Oh, serious. In fact, he sounded very put out.
And did Miss Tring answer the question?
She said, why ask me, darling? You're the one who knows. You got all the magic books.
And was that the end of the conversation?
No, he shouted right back at her, telling her to mind her own business for her own good.
And then what?
She rushed off across the fields, toward her father's farm.
And the accused?
He got in his truck and drove off.
In which direction?
Well, I couldn't see. You see, there were hawthorn hedge in the way. But from the sound of the exhaust, I would say he were going to Lower Kirtle for the pig food.
Thank you, Mr. Robson.
Though, of course, he might not have been.
Mr. Robson, do you know Miss Rudy well?
No one did.
Were you attracted to her?
I couldn't help being, could I? She were very sexy.
Really? Did you ever ask her out?
No, I wouldn't have dared. Anyway, she were going steady with Tom.
Aren't you hiding the real reason for your fear?
No. Who takes witches seriously today?
Witches, Mr. Robson?
Well, I know that she was supposed to be high priestess of the local coven and all that, and, well, I suppose some of the villagers feared her, but that don't mean to say that her death were a ritual murder.
Well, I never suggested it did. Though I do suggest that you are slanting certain portions of your evidence to incriminate the defendant.
That's not true. You look at my testimony in the last trial, you see I said exactly the same things last time.
Not quite, Mr. Robson. In your previous testimony, you made no mention of the conversation you now say you overheard through the snug bar window.
I did. Well, I'm sure I did.
Yes, well, may be shown a transcript of the previous trial, please.
Thank you.
If you'd like to turn to page 117, you will see there is no record of what's the best way to deal with a witch, darling, or the supposed reply, why ask me, darling, you're the one who knows, you got all the magic books.
I don't understand it. I mean, I remember him saying that. And her. I remember it clear as though yesterday.
And yet in 1957, at the first trial, scarcely a year after the murder, it completely slipped your memory.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yes, very funny.
Well, you see, the reason that I remember it so clearly is that, well, it surprised me that the accused should say such a thing. I mean, he were educated, university and all that, and yet there he were outside the snug bar window admitting that he was scared of a witch.
But not as frightened as you.
My lord, my learned friend is putting words into the witness's mouth.
Let's get on.
Will you answer my question, Mr. Robson?
Well, I suppose they were frightened a bit.
Thank you. Just one final question, Mr. Robson. Were your relations with the defendant friendly?
Aye. He were a nice lad. Gentle sort. Very generous.
And therefore, in your opinion, unlikely to be capable of perpetrating a savage occult murder?
My lord, I must object.
Yes, you really cannot ask a question like that, Mr. O'Connor.
Very well, my lord. Did you ever see the defendant behave in a violent manner, Mr. Robson?
No. Oh, except when you were trying to sort out his mistresses.
Yes.
But I felt he had a terrible temper.
You felt he had a terrible temper, and yet you never saw it in action.
Only in his eyes.
Oh. And when he's angry, they must be truly ferocious.
Ah, they were. I noticed it in the pub when he wished Olive dead.
And Betty?
Hmm?
Well, you said earlier that he wished both women dead.
Oh, aye. So I did. Sorry, I get a bit muddled. It was so long ago, such a long time. So very unfortunate.
Indeed, it was.
Is your full name Joseph Herbert Tring?
Aye.
And do you live at Apple Farm outside the village of Long Griffin?
Aye, with my daughter Betty, and stranger used to.
The stranger?
Him, stranger.
Oh, I see, yes. Now, Mr. Tring, perhaps you'd be good enough to tell the court when you last saw Olive Rudy.
I think I saw her that afternoon before she died.
You think you saw her?
Dark day, windy, grit in my eyes, made 'em water bad.
And where were you when you saw her?
Walking along the furrow, worried.
About what, specifically?
Things.
Things?
Aye, things.
Yes, go on.
Well, I seen her, on the other side of the hedgerow. Stranger were with her.
Are you certain that you saw the accused with Miss Rudy?
Aye. He had that hat on, cheeky.
Cheeky?
Aye. Black trilby, pulled down over his eyes. Al Capone.
Yes, would you kindly explain that last comment of yours, Mr. Tring?
He were damned lazy, could sleep standing up. And he stole from me, stranger.
Mr. Logan, where do we go?
If your lordship would bear with me.
And if I do?
Mr. Tring, what usually did he steal?
My daughter. Stole her love. Corrupted her when he got his own hands on her.
Yes, I see. Now, let us return to the afternoon in question. You're absolutely certain that it was the accused you saw talking with Miss Rudy?
How many times do I have to tell you? His raincoat collar turned up. I knew it were him. Couldn't hide from me.
Well, are you suggesting that he looked as though he didn't want you to see him?
He were always trying to be mysterious. Said his mystery attracted girls.
And once you had recognized him, did you call out to him?
No, they were shouting at each other, waving their arms about, rowing.
About what?
Couldn't catch what they said.
Well, then what happened?
Well, and then they went off, waving their arms.
In what direction?
Talbot Wood, between my farm and Olive's cottage.
And was that the last time you saw Olive Rudy alive?
Aye.
And when did you next see the accused?
Midnight.
Was that the same day?
Aye, me and Betty waited up for him.
Why did you both wait up for him?
Well, he hadn't been back for his tea. We thought it very strange. Other things he had to do besides fetch home pig food.
Such as?
Feeding pigs and hens.
So you were, in fact, somewhat worried when he hadn't turned up by 7 or 8 o'clock?
No, pissed off. He'd gone down to the pub on my time. And into bushes, nookie.
Nuki?
Serving them.
Ah, yes. Well, if you think the accused was so unreliable and that he was responsible for debauching your daughter, why didn't you sack him?
Labour were hard to come by to put up with what I'd got.
When the accused returned at midnight...
I sneaked in through his bedroom window.
Yes, when you discovered that he was, in fact, in the bedroom, did you challenge him then?
Right, I went down, pushed his door in. I shouted, angry, he were packing.
Packing?
His belongings. Suitcases. Battered.
And what did you do when you discovered this?
Asked him where he'd been.
And how did he answer you?
Got on with his packing. He looked very ill. He was shaking.
How did your daughter react to the situation?
Said nought.
And did you try to stop him packing?
I'm not daft. There was a madness in his eyes.
And while you were watching him pack, did you notice anything about his appearance?
Bloodstains on his knuckles.
Are you certain?
Aye.
Did you ask him about it?
Barged past me out into the night.
And did the accused return to your farm later that night?
Not that night. 18 years later, 6 months ago. Bad penny. Got his deserts. Arrested 2 days later.
And did he come to visit you at your farm?
I did, bold as brass. Sunburned, successful. He made my Betty cry, the bastard.
My lord, I think...
Mr. Tring, how did you discover the body of the deceased?
2 days later, in the morning.
That being the morning of February the 16th, 1956.
Aye. I was passing near to Olive's cottage when I saw the body lying under the old willow tree. Arms and legs stretched out, a hole in her throat. Her neck were pinned down with a hay fork, and her eyes and mouth were still open, still screaming. Well, that poor bitch must have suffered. Even when she was dead, killer hadn't done he. He'd cut a cross on a...
Mr. Tring, would you tell the court what you did after seeing this butchery?
Fetched up like a dog.
And what did you do after you had recovered from expressing your revulsion?
I was going to fetch police when I saw his penknife.
Whose knife?
His, strangers.
Are you positive that the knife belonged to the accused?
Oh, aye, we're always whittling bits of wood with it, always.
May be shown Exhibit 1. Yeah. Do you recognise the article before you?
Aye, that same knife, all right. Blood stains on the handle from look of things.
Did you see any other article lying beside the body of the deceased?
Aye, Al Capone hat.
And where was that in relation to the body?
The roots of the willow tree.
It's Exhibit 2, my lord.
Yes.
Is this the hat in question?
Aye.
Now, after you had seen these articles, what did you do?
Not.
Did you call the police?
Oh, I went straight home and called the police, aye.
And was your daughter in the house when you did this?
I should just come in from getting the eggs.
And how did she react to the news that Olive Rudy had been savagely murdered?
She didn't, not at first.
And when she saw the deceased's mutilated body under the willow tree, did she say anything then?
No, she was stunned. Then she laughed.
Laughed?
Yeah, sort of crying laugh, as though she were glad that Olive were dead. But revolted just the same.
So neither of you said anything? You just stood there and waited for the arrival of the police?
No. Betty tried to pull the hay fork off Olive's neck, but it was thrust so deep into the ground that she couldn't move it. I tried, I couldn't move it either.
Yes, therefore, would it have required a man of exceptional strength to have rammed that hay fork so deep into the ground in the first place?
I'd have to be fit, strong.
And when you found that you couldn't remove the murder weapon, what did you do next?
Now. Then Betty pointed to Olive's neck, and she said, "Dad, necklace is missing."
What necklace was she referring to?
Always wore the same one. Big, shiny metal thing.
Yes, would you examine Exhibit 3, please? Is that the article in question?
Aye.
Does it have any other significance to you besides being the necklace she always wore?
No, but it were missing. Murderer must have stole it, I suppose.
Did you have to wait long before the police arrived?
No, about 10 minutes. A couple of young uns arrived, tramping about all over the place, looking for clues. They found more than we had. One penknife, one Al Capone hat.
Thank you, Mr. Tring.
Tring, can you see my hand clearly?
Why?
Am I wearing a wedding ring?
Why?
Am I wearing a wedding ring, Mr. Tring?
Well,
No, without the aid of your spectacles, if you please.
Short-sighted from birth.
You wearing spectacles that afternoon on the St. Valentine's Day in question?
No, never wear 'em outside. I told you they were gritting my eyes.
And how can you be certain that the figure you saw talking with Olive Rudy at the bottom of your field was the accused?
I'd know that hat anywhere.
Yes, but did you actually see the face underneath the hat?
Well...
Or was it a blur, like my non-existent wedding ring?
It must have been him. It must have been stranger.
I suggest to you that because of the accused's past relationship with your daughter, your hatred of him is so great, it is even affecting your eyesight.
It's the truth, I'm telling you, the truth.
At the previous trial, you said your daughter, Betty Tring, suddenly appeared about an hour and a half after the couple in question had gone into the woods. Is this so?
Aye.
Yes, well, would you tell the court, please, what happened?
Well, I was worried about the crops, and it was just after sunset when I saw Betty coming back from the pigsty. She was covered in mud and looked strange, excited. Asked her what was the matter.
How did she answer you?
Said she'd been mucking out pigs.
Well, did you not think that rather a strange reply, considering her state of agitation?
No, women say odd things.
Well, according to your previous evidence, she asked you where the accused was.
Aye, and I told her he's gone off with which.
Which?
It were common knowledge.
Well, can you remember how your daughter reacted to this information?
Aye. She shouted out, "I'll get the bugger, I'll get him!"
What exactly do you think she meant when she said, "I'll get him"?
I don't know. I didn't think about it at the time.
Mr. Tring, when you caught the accused packing, are you absolutely certain that it was blood that you saw on his knuckles? Or perhaps just your poor eyesight, combined with the light thrown from the lamp, the oil lamp which stands at the top of your stairs. It has a smoky red glass funnel, has it not?
Well, blood. Well, it was red. Ink, paint, dye even.
Well, if the blood wasn't an illusion, why didn't you ring for the police as soon as the accused fled the house?
Because I were glad to be shot on him, stranger.
Yes. Well, let's explore a different area, shall we? Your discovery of the deceased body.
Again?
I'm afraid so. Perhaps you can tell the court how you happened to find the body in the first place.
I've told you.
No, you have only told us where you found the body.
Well, I was taking a walk, weren't I?
Well, do you usually take an early morning stroll?
No.
Well, then, why were you taking an early morning stroll on this particular morning?
Wanted to see Olive. Business.
Would you kindly enlighten us to the nature of your business?
Wanted to talk to her.
About what?
I thought she were responsible for poor crops. Besides which, Betty had said that Olive were going to put another curse on my land.
I see. And you really thought the deceased was capable of inflicting such a curse?
Didn't want to take any chances, did I?
Well, the truth is, Mr. Tring, that your belief in Miss Rudy's occult power goes much deeper than that.
No. Which is not afraid.
Would you re-show Exhibit 3, please? Why'd you cross yourself when you're shown this necklace? Mr. Tring, you know only too well that Olive Rudy used this necklace in the actual ritual of inflicting such a curse.
Aye, she did. God rot her.
The case of the Queen against Strafford will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. In the so-called ritual murder case at the Fulchester Crown Court, Tom Strafford is accused of murdering Olive Rudy, who was found dead on St. Valentine's Day 1956 near the village of Long Griffin. She was pinned to the earth with a hayfork through her throat, and the sign of the cross had been hacked across her stomach. The court has also heard of the original trial in 1957 at Fulchester Assizes, when Betty Tring had been accused of the same murder and had been found not guilty. The prosecution is now examining Chief Superintendent Duncan, who was one of the officers involved in the previous investigation in 1956. The Chief Superintendent has revealed that at the time he was a detective inspector.
Chief Superintendent Duncan, would you please tell the court what you found when you visited the scene of the crime?
Chaos. In their youthful eagerness to solve the crime, my own men had recklessly tramped all over the muddy ground in the vicinity of the deceased body and had thus obliterated the murderer's footprints with their own. And the Trings had obliterated the murderer's fingerprints on the handle of the hayfork in the same unthinking manner. So other than the discovery of the accused trilby and penknife near the body of the deceased, there was precious little to go on.
And would you now please tell the court of the circumstances leading up to the apprehension of the accused?
Certainly. Ever since the murder in 1956, I have always kept an annual vigil on St. Valentine's Day in the village of Long Griffin and at the specific murder spot itself, in the hope that the accused would return to the scene of the crime, or that at the least a villager would come forward and reveal the accused's whereabouts. But during those interim 18 years, no one ever came forward. Then this year, 1974, I did receive some information.
Please continue.
When I reached Long Griffin police station, I found a parcel waiting for me there. It contained a blood-stained raincoat and a pair of blood-stained gloves.
Would you please examine exhibits 4 and 5? Are they the articles of clothing in question?
They are.
And late that afternoon you apprehended the accused?
Yes, at 3:37 precisely, in bedroom 4 on the second floor of the Green Man. I cautioned and arrested the accused in the presence of Detective Inspector Thompson and Detective Sergeant Close, after which the two officers and I searched the room.
What did you find?
The deceased's silver necklace.
Where was it?
At the bottom of the accused's suitcase.
Would you examine exhibit 3, please? Is that the article in question?
It is.
Did you ask the accused when it first came into his possession?
I did.
And how did he answer you?
His exact words were, "I've no idea how it got there. The last time I saw it was 18 years ago when I rowed with Olive in this very pub."
And at the station, did you show him the blood-stained raincoat and gloves?
I did. And I said, "These were yours, weren't they?" He said, "Yes, where did you find them?" And I asked him if he could explain away the bloodstains.
Did he answer?
No, he didn't. He seemed frightened. He called us stupid fools. "You'll never be able to prove me guilty. Never."
Chief Superintendent Duncan, for the last 17 years you have held an annual St. Valentine's Day vigil at the scene of the crime.
I have.
You have questioned and cross-questioned all the inhabitants of Long Griffin and the surrounding countryside many times over during the last 17 years, in the hope that you would find out the whereabouts of the accused.
More times than I care to mention.
Therefore, would it be correct for us to assume that you have become somewhat obsessed with this gory murder?
I've tried to do my duty to the best of my ability, if that's what you mean.
I suggest your profound study of the grimmer aspects of the occult, your annual vigils on St. Valentine's Day, plus your habitual questioning and cross-questioning of the villagers of Long Griffin, is far beyond the bounds of plain, old-fashioned duty.
When one is trying to apprehend a sadistic killer, nothing is beyond the bounds of plain, old-fashioned duty.
What was the information you received on St. Valentine's Day this year which caused you to go to Long Griffin Police Station?
Well, I didn't exactly receive it. I saw it as I was taking my annual St. Valentine's Day stroll along the village high street. I noticed there was a message in chalk scrawled on the side wall of the Green Man public house.
And what did the message say, Chief Superintendent?
"The murderer has come from the USA, and he's been here for less than a day."
And was it written as a doggerel?
That is so.
Well, how did you know where to find the accused?
We received an anonymous telephone call.
Are you able to trace who made the phone call?
Unfortunately, no.
Now, you are due for retirement in 18 months' time, Chief Superintendent.
I am.
And you've never failed to bring a murder case to a satisfactory conclusion, I believe.
Yes, I suppose that's so.
Now, I put it to you then, Chief Superintendent Duncan, that in your zeal to solve this particular murder, in order that you shall retire with a clean slate, as it were, you have tampered with the evidence and, in fact, bent the law to obtain the conviction you so fervently desired.
I certainly have not, sir.
Did you plant the necklace in the accused's suitcase? No. Or the rhyming couplet on the wall?
No, that's an absurd suggestion.
Is it, Chief Superintendent? You had nothing to do with the message on the wall, and you have not been able to trace who was the perpetrator of this Popian couplet. And so, presumably, the identity of the anonymous phone caller and the identity of the person who sent you the blood-stained clothes also remain a mystery.
Unfortunately, yes. The villagers refused to talk, as usual.
Now, Dr. Stone, you were the pathologist who examined the deceased on the February the 20th, 1956. Is that not so?
That is so.
And you gave evidence to this effect during the previous trial of Betty Tring on January the 11th, 1957.
That is correct.
Yes, would you please examine Exhibit 6? Is this the murder weapon in question?
It is.
In your opinion, Dr. Stone, would it have required great strength to inflict the death wound with this particular weapon?
No, the actual death wound could have been inflicted by anyone of average
Yes,
strength.
but surely to have driven the prongs of this hay fork almost a foot into the hard winter ground would have demanded exceptional strength.
Indeed it did, which is why I found the final position of the hay fork so puzzling.
I don't follow you, Doctor.
Well, my test at the time proved that after the death wound had been inflicted, the hay fork was pulled out of the victim's jugular vein and then thrust hard back into the ground, with the prongs pressing either side of the deceased's neck. After which the hay fork was levered back savagely, dislocating the deceased's neck and jaw. And as you have rightly observed, such an act would have required great physical strength.
A man's strength.
In all probability.
And you say that this perverted man was not satisfied with
My
simply
lord,
killing
I
the
do
victim.
not accept that the murderer was necessarily a man.
Yes, Mr. O'Connor. Mr. Logan, Dr. Stone has stated that the murderer was, in all probability, a man. He hasn't stated it categorically.
My lord, the probability
No,
is
a
so
probability is a probability. It's not a fact. We have not established the sex of the murderer beyond dispute. The evidence doesn't.
Very well, my lord. Now, Dr. Stone, did you come to any conclusions as to why the murderer wrenched the hay fork backwards, thus dislocating the deceased's neck, even though the deceased was already dead? Did you believe that witchcraft could be involved?
I'm not qualified to judge, but the cruciform lacerations on the deceased's stomach are unlike anything that I have seen in 30 years' experience.
Did you find the deceased to be pregnant?
She was not.
You sure?
Positive. The uterus showed no signs of pregnancy.
Now, would you please examine exhibits 4 and 5? Are these the raincoat and gloves that you've recently made tests upon?
They are?
And are the bloodstains on both of these articles of clothing consistent with the blood group of the deceased?
They are.
And what blood group is that?
ABO, one of the rarer blood groups.
So it would be safe to assume that the blood on both the gloves and the raincoat are in fact the blood of the deceased.
It's never safe to assume anything. But the coincidence here is remarkable.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. You've been most helpful.
Dr. Stone, perhaps you can tell the court how it is possible to match the blood on the raincoat and the gloves with that of the deceased's blood after a lapse of 18 years.
By referring to the tests I made at the time and comparing them with the present tests. In fact, such a match is comparatively easy, even 25 years after the original crime.
I see. Were you able to discover where the raincoat and the gloves had been hidden in the interim years?
I was not. There were definite traces of pig manure in the lining of the raincoat and caked into the cotton fibre of the gloves. But I feel that most of the time they must have been kept in some warm, dry place.
Dr. Stone, I'd like you to consider the sex of the murderer again. In your opinion, is it totally inconceivable that a woman, for example, could have rammed that hay fork 1 foot into the ground?
It's not inconceivable, but she would have to be a woman of exceptional strength.
And you understand the oath that you have just taken?
Of course I do. What do you think I am, senile or something?
And your name is Moses Grumbleton, and you live at Thrush Cottage, Long Griffin?
Aye.
And it is a fact that you gave evidence at the original trial of Betty Tring on January the 17th, 1957.
Aye.
Now, can you remember anything about the time that Olive Rudy was murdered?
Aye. There was someone in a raincoat and a trilby hat what were talking with her on St. Valentine's Day. They were standing under the willow tree, you know, the one next to the witch's cottage.
So you regarded Olive Rudy as a witch, did you?
Of course I did.
Why?
Of course she were. Well, she never scared me, mind. Think she thought I was a wizard.
What else did you see?
Well, the one in the trilby hat were leaning on the apron.
Who was the person wearing the trilby hat?
Well, that's not quite clear to me, because when I seen the police, I said it were Betty Tring. But after, I had to change that because it were wrong.
Yes.
When did you change it?
No, my lord, it was at the Assizes on January the 17th, 1957. When cross-examined by defence counsel, he admitted he'd made a mistake and that the person you saw leaning on the hay fork, Mr. Grumbleton, was in fact not Betty Tring.
Well, it weren't, were it? I mean, she was found not guilty, so
Correct.
that proves it.
So the question still remains, whom did you see?
I can't remember.
Oh, come now, Mr. Grumbleton.
I'd like to go home now.
So might we all, Mr. Grumbleton. But you'll stay here until you've answered the questions properly.
Well, it could have been young Tom.
You mean the student living with the Trings?
Aye.
And do you see that person in court today?
There he is. He ain't changed that much neither.
Thank you, Mr. Grumbleton.
Mr. Grumbleton, would you kindly examine photograph exhibit 7, please?
Aye, that's her, right enough.
Who?
Young Betty Tring, of course. Aye, she was a big girl then.
Now, will you examine photograph exhibit 8, please?
Oh, that's Tom.
Now, will you place the photograph of the accused beside the photograph of Betty Tring and tell us what you see?
Well, I must say, I always thought so.
Thought what, Mr. Grumbleton?
Well, I always thought they looked alike. Of course, she's changed a lot now.
Are you telling the court that you've always thought that the defendant resembled Betty Tring?
Oh, aye. Nobody much agreed with me, mind. You see, I'm colour-blind, at least so the doctor says. So when I say someone looks like someone else, everybody just laughs, especially when it's true.
So who did you see underneath that trilby hat outside the witch's cottage on the fateful day in question?
Well, now you mention it, it could have been young Tom there. In fact, I'm sure it were him.
Well, if you're so sure it was the defendant, why didn't you say so at Betty Tring's trial?
Well, maybe I weren't sure then.
Mr. Grumbleton, are you sure it wasn't my learned friend? Or even his lordship underneath that trilby hat?
I object. My learned friend was being deliberately facetious.
Yes, and not without reason. But if I may say so, Mr. Logan, your witness seems to be somewhat at sea as to what he did witness under the willow tree, or indeed if he witnessed anything at all. Yes.
Of course, my lordship would have been younger then, so I suppose it might have been him, though I never seen him round our parts afore.
You are Betty Tring, and you reside at Apple Farm near the village of Long Griffin.
That's right.
And you live there with your father, Joseph Tring.
Yes, I do.
Now, was it as a result of an incident at the Green Man between Olive Rudy, Tom Strafford, and yourself that you first learnt that the accused was having an affair with the deceased?
Mr. O'Connor?
I've no objection to this, my lord.
Miss Tring?
Oh, I suspected it a couple of months or so before St. Valentine's Day.
I see. May I ask then why you hadn't faced the accused with your suspicions earlier?
Well, we didn't talk about it because he was frightened of her.
Frightened? In what way?
Well, she put a spell on him, hadn't she?
Well, but surely the accused was too educated a person to believe in the power of witchcraft?
Oh, but he did. I don't blame him either. She had a look in her eyes could make your blood run cold. She told me once that Tom were a member of her coven and that they used to attend meetings regular. He said he had no part in it. He was just looking, he said.
Did she give you specific dates as to when he attended these meetings?
No. Oh, yes, she did. Yes, she mentioned one, the Feast of Halloween, she said. Apparently that takes place sometime in October, but it's all so long ago now. I tend to get the details muddled.
It's hardly surprising.
Oh, I do remember one thing, though, as clear as if it was this morning.
What was that?
Well, it was when she was telling me that he was in her power, and she kept fingering her necklace. And I knew she was doing one of her incantations.
Did she ever frighten you?
Nah. Well, not as a witch. As a woman, she worried me some.
In what way did she worry you?
Because she was being cruel to my man.
I see. Now, did you ever tell the accused about that conversation with Olive Rudy?
No. He knew I'd been talking to her, though.
How?
Because she made him impotent.
Miss Tring, are you seriously asking us to believe that as the result of the deceased's incantation, the accused became impotent?
Yeah, this was a couple of months or so before St. Valentine's Day. He said it was because of the curse she'd put on him that he couldn't make love to me.
And you really think he was being serious?
She owns me, Betty. As long as she lives, I'll never be free. That's what he said.
And he actually used those words. As long as she lives, I'll never be free.
That's right. We were desperate.
Yes, let's come forward in time to the afternoon of Olive Rudy's death.
It's all right.
But why did you attack Miss Rudy at the Green Man pub?
Well, she was no more pregnant than I am. She was just blackmailing Tom into marrying her against his will. And that's why he killed her, to get rid of the witch.
No,
Miss Tring, do you remember the conversation you had with the accused outside the Green Man before he went off to fetch the pig food for your father on the afternoon in question?
Some of it.
Yes, what did he say?
What's the best way to deal with a witch, darling?
And what did you reply?
I can't remember the exact words.
Tell the court approximately what you said.
Look, do I have to?
I'm afraid you do.
I said it seemed odd he should ask me that when he was the one with the witchcraft books. And that made him very angry.
And is that why you ran away from him over the fields?
Yeah, you're dead right. He could be very frightening sometimes.
Did you run straight back to your father's farm?
No, I waited for him.
Where?
Well, in the copse, near a cottage.
Well, why did you wait for him near Olive Rudy's cottage? You knew that he'd gone to fetch the pig food for your father. Surely it would have been more sensible to wait at your father's farm.
Well, perhaps I'm not very sensible. Anyway, I had an instinct that he wasn't going to go and get that pig food. I knew he'd gone to see Olive. I was right, wasn't I?
How long did you wait in the copse?
About an hour.
Then what happened?
Well, then I heard them coming through the woods, and I heard him shouting at her to get an abortion, and she said she never would, and she ran off and he ran after her.
Go on.
Well, I followed them, didn't I? And then she ran up to the house, and she stopped and suddenly picked an old hay fork out of the ground. And then I heard him shout as clear as a bell, "Have you ever thought about dying, you beautiful little witch?"
Did Olive Rudy reply?
She laughed. And she said, "You're mine for always, Tom Strafford, and don't you forget it."
And then what happened?
Oh, I didn't wait to see. I ran off into the woods and went back home, and I started mucking out the pigs. Tom, I'm sorry, but if you hadn't read them books and believed in her spells, you'd never have killed her.
Yes, Miss Tring, you really must try to control yourself.
When the accused returned to your farm at midnight and you discovered him packing his belongings, did you notice whether his witchcraft books were amongst the things that he was taking with him?
Oh, yes, there were. As a matter of fact, he left some of his clothes behind so he could get all his books in his suitcases.
Did he indeed?
Yes.
Very effective, Miss Tring.
Pardon?
Tell me, do you usually barge into public houses, shout, "You silly, stinking witch," at the top of your voice, and then go for the witch's throat and then throw her bodily across the bar?
I see. You're trying to be funny.
No, I'm not. I suggest, Miss Tring, that you showed more aggression and indulged in more violence in that bar than the accused has ever done.
I didn't kill her.
It hasn't been proved that the accused did either.
No, but remember, I was in the bar with him when he wished she was dead.
Oh, forgive me, Miss Tring, but didn't he wish you both dead?
Oh, well, perhaps he did, but he meant her.
I see. Now, I suppose there's no one who actually saw you between the time you left the accused outside the Green Man and the moment your father met you on your farm after you'd been mucking out the pigs.
No, I don't suppose there was.
So for nearly 3 hours you were unseen by anyone.
Well, yes, I suppose so.
So, in fact, we only have your words for your whereabouts during that time.
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to look at Exhibits 4 and 5, please. Perhaps you'll be good enough to tell the jury why you sent the parcel before you to Chief Superintendent Duncan on St. Valentine's Day this year.
But I didn't.
And also why you chalked in capitals on the side wall of the Green Man, "The murderer's come home from the USA and he's been here for less than a day."
Look, you've got no right to suggest it was me that did that.
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm merely asking. Before you answer my question, I advise you to be most careful, because I'm sure I do not have to tell you that you were on oath. Well, why did you send that parcel?
I did.
The truth now.
Well, The truth is, I first found Tom's things in the pigsty of all places.
When was this?
Oh, it was an hour or two after Dad and me saw the body.
Go on.
Well, they weren't there when I was mucking out the pigs on St. Valentine's Day.
You mean on the actual day the murder was committed?
They weren't there then. And I supposed he must have hidden them at the back of the pigsty about midnight before he came in and started packing.
We are not interested in your suppositions, Miss Tring. Keep to the facts, please.
Well, if you want to know why I did what I did, you better let me tell it the way it happened.
Yes, Miss Tring, we would like to hear your story, but you must try to keep to the facts.
Thank you, my lord. Proceed, Miss Tring.
Well, when I saw Tom things, I knew immediately he must have been the one that murdered her, and, well, I didn't want him to get caught, so I hid him in a safer place. Last thing I wanted was for him to get caught. In those days, I'd have done anything for him.
Miss Tring, if, as you say, you had such a great love for the accused, why did you so callously post these blood-stained articles to the chief superintendent? And why did you betray the accused to the police with that message in chalk on the wall of the Green Man, and also with the anonymous phone call?
Well, you'd never understand, any of you.
Oh, probably not, but you could try and make us.
If you hadn't been so offhand with me when you first come back from America, I'd never have done such a thing.
In what way was he offhand?
You were real cruel to me. You never wrote to me once in all them years. Not once. Well, it's my turn now. I hope they give you 20 years.
Tomorrow is the final day in the case of the Queen against Strafford in the Crown Court. At the Fulchester Crown Court, Tom Strafford is accused of the murder of Olive Rudy, who was found dead on St. Valentine's Day 1956 near the village of Long Griffin. She was pinned to the earth with a hayfork through her throat, and the sign of the cross had been hacked across her stomach. The court has also heard of the original trial in 1957 at Fulchester Assizes, when Betty Tring had been accused of the same murder and had been found not guilty. The defence counsel has just called his first witness, Magnus Benjamin, an acknowledged authority on the occult.
You are Magnus Benjamin, the author of Western Fertility Rites and the Earth Goddess, and resident lecturer on the occult at Equus College, Fulchester.
I am.
I understand that you've made a study of the witchcraft aspects of this case.
Studied is too strong a word, but I've examined the various photographs of the victim's body and visited the scene of the crime several times.
Could the witness be shown Exhibits 9 and 10, please? Do you recognise these photographs?
Yes, they are the same.
Would you be so good as to tell the court what deductions you've made from the photographs?
Well, I am of the opinion, and it is only an opinion, mind, that the deceased Olive Rudy was ritually murdered.
Ritually murdered?
Yes. She was killed in this elaborate sacrificial manner because the murderer regarded her as an adept of the black art, believed her to be a powerful Satanist.
Mr. Benjamin, you are suggesting that there are people in England whose fear of the supernatural is so profound that they are willing to kill because of it.
Certainly, especially in closed farming communities like Long Griffin.
Could you elaborate on that statement, please?
Well, as I've made clear in both my books on the occult, farming communities are particularly susceptible to obsessive superstition.
Go on, Mr. Benjamin.
So it seems to me that the murderer of Olive Rudy was in all probability a countryman, or woman, who believed that the deceased was a witch and who was responsible for the killer's poor harvest.
What evidence have you found to support this theory?
Well, if you look at these photographs closely, you will see that the victim's head has been violently levered back by the hay fork.
Yes.
Well, by levering the head back into this position, the murderer ensured that the blood would spurt from the victim's jugular vein, run down the side of the jaw, and finally drip into the earth itself. In ancient times, it was believed that if a human was sacrificed to the earth goddess, that is, to the soil, the blood from the victim's body would in some way magically revitalize the very earth itself, thus ensuring that the next harvest would be a bountiful one.
I see. What, if anything, do you deduce from the theft of the deceased necklace?
Well, the killer stole the necklace because he or she wanted to make sure that the sorceress could not use it in any sort of incantation against him, even from beyond the grave.
So am I right in saying that you believe that the killer was in all probability obsessed by the concept of earth fertility?
That is correct.
Therefore, he or she is likely to have been involved with some aspect of farming.
Yes. I'm certain that is the case.
So it is unlikely to have been a university student like the defendant.
Well, Lord, I object. My learned friend is going much too far.
Yes, Mr. Logan. Members of the jury, we may not ask an expert witness his opinion as to who was or was not the murderer. But here, learned counsel may suggest to Mr. Benjamin that the murder had the appearance of a ritual killing. Yes?
I've no further questions, my lord.
Mr. Benjamin, you are suggesting that the murderer of Olive Rudy was in some way connected with the land, a farmer, in fact.
All the physical evidence points in that direction.
Given that the killer has the necessary occult knowledge, is it possible that someone not involved in farming could have committed such a crime?
Well, I suppose if the murderer had some sort of grudge against someone in the local farming community, he or she could have
gone through the witchcraft rigmarole, thus putting the police off his own scent and throwing suspicion onto some poor innocent farmer instead.
It's far-fetched, but possible.
Well, especially if he was an authority on the occult, had trunks full of books on the occult, and was in fact obsessed by the occult, like the accused, for instance. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. You've been most helpful.
You are Thomas Bertram Strafford, more commonly known as Tom Strafford, and you live at 753 Cedars Drive, Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, USA.
Yeah.
And 18 years ago, you boarded at Apple Farm near the village of Long Griffin.
Sure.
Would you kindly tell the court of your relationship at that time with the deceased Olive Rudy?
We were intimate, if that's what you're getting at.
What was your relationship with Miss Betty Tring?
The same.
Do you remember having a row with both the deceased and Betty Tring on St. Valentine's Day 1956 in the snug bar of the Green Man?
Yeah. I wish them both dead.
Both?
Both.
Yes, would you describe what you did after your argument with Betty Tring?
You mean after she proposed to me?
No, later, when you were both outside the Green Man together, after she'd asked you how to deal with a witch.
Well, when she ran off across the fields, I went to the truck.
And then?
I drove off down the road. I was going to get some pig food for Betty's father.
So did you collect the pig food?
No. After about a quarter of a mile just the other side of the village, I pulled in on the grass verge.
Why?
I needed to think.
About what?
Everything.
Could you be more specific, please, Mr. Strafford?
It was a long time ago.
Yes, perhaps you could remember the gist of your thoughts on that momentous day.
Well, I suppose I was trying to work things out. I mean, oh God, I just learnt that Olive was pregnant.
Yes, well, other than your fear that Olive was about to reveal all to your parents, what else did you think about?
Well, I suppose I was recovering from being proposed to twice in one day. I'd always known that Olive wanted to shackle me down, but until that lunchtime, I always thought that Betty had more sense.
How long did you sit in the truck thinking?
Oh, I can't remember. A quarter of an hour or so.
And then what did you do?
I went for a walk.
In which direction?
I wasn't thinking which way I was going. I just needed to walk. Must have been for several miles. Eventually, I found myself wandering through the woods.
Which woods?
I don't remember the name, but they bordered onto Olive's cottage.
Approximately at what time did you arrive in the vicinity of the deceased cottage?
I can't remember. I must have been tramping about for some time, an hour and a half, maybe. I remember seeing the sun sinking beneath the trees.
I see. So as this would be St. Valentine's Day in the middle of February, it would be about 5:10 or so. Mr. Strafford, did you meet anyone on your twilight walk who could corroborate your story?
No. But I'm telling you the truth.
And when you realized where you were in relation to the deceased cottage, what did you do?
Nothing much. I remember I looked up through the branches at the red sky. It was beautiful. At least it was until I heard the scream.
Then what did you do?
I ran towards it.
Did the person scream again?
No.
Did you recognize the scream?
Olive's.
When you first discovered Olive Rudy's body, what did you do then?
Well, I looked around to see if there was any indication as to who had butchered her.
Did you see anyone running away from the scene of the crime?
No. There's no sign of anybody.
Did you then examine the body more closely, or what?
No, I couldn't. But I did notice that my trilby was lying in the roots of the willow tree. It was covered with blood.
Did you pick the trilby up?
No.
And how do you know it was yours?
It looked like mine. See, I had two. The one I was wearing at the time and the one that I left in my room at the Trings farm. At least, that's where I thought it was until I saw it lying beside the body.
Yes, but you still have not explained how you knew it was your trilby.
Well, as Farmer Tring says, only a stranger would wear such a cheeky Al Capone hat.
I see. Now, did you see anything else beside the deceased body?
No, I can't say I did. I was too upset. Then I ran back into the woods. I ran blindly through the trees as fast as I could. That was until I tripped over some roots or something and knocked myself out. Eventually I came round. It was pitch black, 2, 3 hours, maybe more.
As long as that?
Yeah. I sat there nursing my head. And then when the throbbing stopped, I was seized with panic.
Why did you feel that, Mr. Strafford?
Well, I believe that the moment that the police discovered the body and did an autopsy, they'd find that she was pregnant. Well, it wouldn't have taken them long to put two and two together. At any moment, I expected the police to run out of the woods and arrest me for murdering her. So I decided to get the hell out of the district, even the country if I could.
So what did you do next?
I crept back to the farm. I waited in the yard until I was sure that the Trings were safely in bed. Then I climbed into my room and started to pack. That was when Betty and her father barged into the room. They started shouting at me. I was scared. I just threw some stuff into a couple of bags and I beat the hell out of it.
Where'd you go then?
Well, I hitchhiked to the docks. Fortunately, I had enough of my grant left to get a boat to Canada. I changed my name, and then I snuck over the border into the States.
One thing puzzles me, Mr. Strafford. Why ever did you come back?
God knows.
There must have been some reason.
Well, there was a reason, all right. You see, after a few years, although my career was doing well, I had a good private life, I could never get the memory of Olive out of my mind. I used to wake up at nights, soaked in sweat, trembling like a leaf. 3 months ago, before I came here, the nightmares stopped.
Why was that, do you think?
I met a girl, and for the first time in my life, the nightmare stopped. I felt free to come back. I don't know why. I just wanted to settle down.
I'm sorry, Mr. Strafford, but you're not making any sense.
Look, I didn't kill her. As God's my judge, I didn't kill her.
Then how is it that your Al Capone hat and your penknife, both speckled with Olive Rudy's blood, were found at the scene of the crime?
Look, I don't know.
And how did Olive Rudy's blood come to be on your raincoat and gloves when they were delivered to Chief Superintendent Duncan on St. Valentine's Day of this year?
God knows. He did it. Yeah. You're trying to set me up, you bastard!
Yes, Mr. Strafford, I realize this must be difficult for you, but you must try to control yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Do you realize what you're suggesting, Mr. Strafford?
Yeah, I'm telling you that he killed her. I mean, just look at him. Every time that his harvest failed, and it always did, he held Olive Rudy responsible. He even told me that it was her curse that had blighted his harvest. He hated me because I was always telling him what a god-awful farmer he was. And that's not the only reason that he wants to get me convicted for his crime. You see, he's never forgiven me for screwing his daughter.
My lord, I wish to recall Miss Betty Tring.
Why?
Well, she's in possession of evidence, my lord, which she failed to disclose when she was in the witness box earlier. She has now imparted to my client's solicitor.
Mr. Logan, do you have any objection?
No, I have no objection, my lord.
Oh, very well, you may recall her.
I call Miss Betty Tring.
You understand that you are still on oath, Miss Tring?
Yes, I do.
Miss Tring, would you now tell the court the truth, please?
I killed the witch with no help from anybody.
Miss Tring, do you realize the gravity of such a confession?
Of course, my lord. See, I know you can't touch me. You found me not guilty last time, and I know the law. Nobody can be tried for the same crime twice.
Miss Tring, if, as it now appears, you are willing to say that you are guilty of this terrible and vicious crime, do we understand that all your evidence at the previous trial in 1957 was a pack of lies?
Of course, I didn't want to get hung, did I? Do you want me to tell you how I killed her?
Yes, Miss Tring. The jury would like to hear your new story of the events that took place on St. Valentine's Day, 1956. Yes, Mr. O'Connor?
Thank you, my lord.
Well, where do you want me to start?
From the moment that you decided to murder the deceased, please.
It was a minute or two after I'd flung her across the bar. You see, I suddenly realised how easy it would be. Up to that point, I'd been scared of her powers.
You mean you were frightened of her power as a witch?
Yeah, my dad was right, you know. She had put a curse on his crops. Until she moved into her cottage 3 years before, in 1953, my dad had damn good harvests and good livestock. 54, 55, they were terrible years for our pigs and all. They just kept dying on us for no reason. I really believed she was pregnant by him, and it made me sick. And later, when I proposed to him and he turned me down, I made up my mind I'd make him pay and all. So, when Dad wasn't looking, I went into the house and I went into Tom's room and I got his raincoat and his Al Capone hat out of the wardrobe and his gloves out of the drawer and picked his penknife up off the bedside table, and I got into his clothes and put the penknife in my pocket, and it was easy to impersonate him. And then I went out of the house and I saw the witch herself.
So what did you do?
I made her walk with me along the bottom end of our farm so as our dad would be sure of seeing us. You see, he hasn't got the best eyesight in the world. I knew he'd think I was Tom. The only thing was I was scared he might come over and tell Tom off.
So you haven't told us as yet how Olive Rudy reacted to you when she saw you dressed in Tom's clothes.
She now split herself with laughing. Threw her arms all over the place. So in order to convince Dad that I was Tom, I waved my arms about and all, and what with the wind and everything, he obviously thought he saw Tom and Olive arguing.
Please continue, Miss Tring.
Well, I persuaded her I wanted to be a friend. I even suggested to her that I would like to become a member of her coven. That really got her interested, and that scared me a bit, because I knew that witchcraft and covens were no game to her, and I knew if I didn't kill her quick, she might somehow get me in her power. It took us about 10 minutes to walk to her house, and when I got there, I saw the hay fork. And it was then that Moses Grumbleton saw us. He was right, you know, it was me he saw.
How long did Mr. Grumbleton watch you both over the hedge?
Oh, about a minute. And then he went. And then I suggested to the witch that it might be a good idea to put a curse on Tom, to make him impotent-like, just for fun.
How did Olive respond to this suggestion?
She laughed. In fact, she was laughing so hard that when I raised the fork, she only had time for one scream. From then on, it was simple as slaughtering a pig.
After you'd struck her with the hay fork, what did you do then?
Oh, I ripped the necklace off her neck and I put it in my pocket. And then I killed her. I stabbed her with the prong of the hay fork through her throat till she was dead. And then, using the fork, I wrenched her head back, so blood had trickled into the earth. You see, I'd read all about fertility rites in one of Tom's witchcraft books, and that's why I carved that cross on her stomach. I was making dead sure she couldn't strike back at me from the grave. It worked. It all worked.
What do you mean, Miss Tring, when you say it all worked?
Well, from then on, my dad's had damn good harvests. She's never come back from the grave to haunt me. It were a real sacrifice.
When you'd completed your sacrifice, what did you do next?
I put Tom's penknife down by the body and I put his hat near the roots of the willow tree, and then I had someone coming through the woods towards me.
Did the person come out of the woods?
Yeah, it was Tom. It shook him when he saw her. I've never seen such a look of fear on a man's face before.
What did he do when he saw Olive Rudy's body?
Nothing. He just stared down at it. And then he ran off into the woods like a madman.
Did you follow him?
No. I went back home and took off his things and hid them and the necklace in the pigsty, and I started mucking out the pigs. So when Dad came back later, he thought I'd been there all afternoon.
Yes, your motives are a little difficult to follow. Why did you send the parcel of Strafford's blood-stained clothing to Chief Superintendent Duncan on St. Valentine's Day of this year?
To make him sweat. And it was me that put the necklace in the suitcase, and I phoned the police, and I wish to God I hadn't.
Why this sudden change of heart?
Because I still love him. I can't bear the thought of him spending the rest of his life in jail.
Thank you, Miss Tring.
Yes, Mr. Logan.
Miss Tring, are you seriously telling this court that you deliberately dressed up in the accused's clothing like someone in an amateur theatrical charade in order to perpetrate this inhuman murder?
Yes, I am. You've got to believe me.
Yes, Miss Tring, we have heard that you are a lady of some considerable physical strength, but if, as you would have us believe, it was you who rammed the hay fork into the ground in the first place, how is it that neither you nor your father were subsequently able to remove it?
It was simple. I just pretended I couldn't budge
I
it.
suggest to you that this macabre charade with the hay fork, along with the story of your dressing up, in fact, the whole sacrificial legend, is a total fabrication of the facts from beginning to end.
No, it's true. I killed the bitch.
Oh, come, Miss Tring, how can you possibly expect the jury to believe you when during the course of this trial alone you've already told two radically conflicting stories? Well, the jury may give you some credit for your misguided and belated loyalty in trying to shield your ex-lover, but out of your own mouth you have discredited your own testimony. And in the process you have shown the jury that you are a pathological liar.
I'm not lying. You've got to believe me. He's innocent. He... Oh, God.
Members of the jury, what evidence there is against the accused in this case is circumstantial evidence. For example, a piece of evidence like a blood-stained trilby found near the deceased's body does not of itself prove a person guilty, but it does create a circumstance or circumstances which make it possible for the person to be guilty, or alternatively makes it less likely that any other person is guilty. Where circumstantial evidence is overwhelming, you can convict. Now, you must consider that not only the accused, but Betty Tring had the required motive and the necessary strength to commit this crime. And then you must give very serious thought to Betty Tring's extraordinary confession to the murder of Olive Rudy. And you must remember that she has given this court two radically conflicting stories of the events of that day, and therefore at some point in her evidence, she has perjured herself. Now, when you have weighed up her stories, you must consider whether, despite Betty Tring's confession, and before you reach your verdict, you must consider this: has the prosecution proved its case against the accused to your entire satisfaction? If so, you must convict. If not, you must acquit. Will you now please retire and consider your verdict?
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the defendant, Thomas Bertram Strafford, guilty or not guilty of murder?
Guilty.
Is that the verdict of you all?
It is.
Tom Strafford was sentenced to life imprisonment, and Mr. Justice Mitchener recommended that he served a minimum of 10 years. Join us for another leading case in the Crown Court.